So hi everyone, hope everybody is doing well. This video is the third part and in the continuation of the chapter Respiration in Animals and Plants. So previously we covered up to the topic process of respiration, and now we are going to start a new topic, that is breathing in humans. So first let this focus. Alright. So the new topic is breathing in humans. Actually, the mechanism of breathing in humans. So breathing in humans. As I told you, breathing. What does breathing means? In the previous video, I already explained the term breathing. Breathing is a physical process or it is a process of simply pumping air into and out of the lungs. Or I gave us छोटा सा definition of it. It was, I hope it is in the frame. Fine. I said inhalation of oxygen and exhalation of carbon dioxide. Right? So the process of taking in the fresh air for getting the oxygen and giving out the air which is rich in carbon dioxide, this very process is termed as breathing. Respiration is something different. Okay, which respiration I explained completely in the previous two videos, in the last two videos. So let's go much deeper into this breathing in humans, and let's just study about the mechanism of breathing in humans. So this inhalation of oxygen and exhalation of oxygen is also given a separate term, and another term which is said to be this inhalation of oxygen is also known as inspiration, and this exhalation of carbon dioxide is also termed as expiration or expiration, whatever you feel like pronouncing it. However you feel it, you can pronounce it the way you like it. So what is the mechanism of breathing? So breathing, you basically know, it involves only two steps, that is the inhalation and the exhalation, which is also termed as the inspiration or the expiration. So now let's see what happens during the breathing. Mechanism of breathing. So as I told you, there are only two steps involved, that is first one is the inhalation and the second one is the exhalation. So what happens during the inhalation? During inhalation, and we'll be doing a comparison sort of thing during exhalation. So it will be easy to understand, right? During inhalation, what we do is we breathe the air in, like this we do, right? We we try to take the air inside. So what happens during inhalation? The rib cage wala ribs, so the ribs, they are raised upwards and outwards. So the ribs, they are raised upwards when we inhale. So the ribs are raised upwards and outwards, क्योंकि क्या होता है, contraction होता है rib muscles का. ठीक है. So what happens is, while we inhale, the ribs are raised upwards and outwards. And as I told you that our lungs, they rest inside the thoracic cavity and they rest over the diaphragm. So this very diaphragm, when the ribs are moved upwards and outwards, this very diaphragm, it flattens or it moves downwards. So let me write it down also. So when we inhale the air, the ribs are raised. I'll highlight the important words. Upwards and outwards. Right? Due to the contraction of rib muscles. And the diaphragm flattens, or you can say moves down. And now what happens during the exhalation? Exhalation, there is one more point वैसे तो, but first let me just make a comparison ऐसे करके, so that it will be easy for you people to understand. So during the exhalation, obviously इसका उल्टा होता है. So what happens is, during exhalation, the ribs, they move downwards and inwards. ठीक है. So while exhale, right, so expand हो रही है. What we do, inhale करा है, ठीक है, कॉन्ट्रैक्ट हो गई मसल्स, हमारे रिब्स क्या हो गए, ऊपर को मूव हो गए और बाहर की तरफ मूव हुए, डायाफ्राम फ्लैटन हो गया. नाउ आर rib muscles, they are expanded, the ribs, they move downwards and inwards, and diaphragm, it moves upwards. और ये कह सकते कि अपनी ओरिजिनल पोजीशन पे it returns. As I have told you in the picture, I have drawn the picture. See this is the original position of the diaphragm. ठीक है. तो क्या हो गया, जैसी exhale हुआ, आपका जो रिब मसल्स था, रिब्स था आपका, इट मूव्ड डाउनवर्ड्स और अंदर की तरफ, और जो डायफ्राम था वो ऊपर की तरफ आ गया अपनी ओरिजिनल पोजीशन पे. इससे पहले जब इनहेलेशन हो रहा था तो ये फ्लैट हो गया था. ठीक है, ये एकदम फ्लैट हो गया था. ठीक है. एंड व्हेन ड्यूरिंग द एक्सहेलेशन, इट रिटर्न बैक टू इट्स original position. So let us just we have to make comparison also, so that it is easier to understand for you people. So what happens during exhalation? Just opposite of inhalation, the ribs are moved. Let me highlight also the words for you. Downwards and inwards. Due to the, I hope, here I have written contraction, so here it will be expansion of rib muscles, and the diaphragm returns to their original position. Alright, so this is the first comparison, or this is the first two processes that takes place. Okay, this page has been spoiled up from the back. I'll just take another page. Let me just keep it aside. Alright, so now there are other points also. So as I have told you that our lungs, they are enclosed in the thoracic cavity. Thoracic cavity, I'll just explain it again. Thoracic cavity, as I told you, this thoracic cavity, it is formed of the sternum, backbone, and the ribs. So our lungs are enclosed inside this thoracic cavity. So now what happens during the inhalation, जब आपका ribs upward move हो गया और आपका diaphragm flatten हो गया, so now what happens is जो thoracic cavity है जिसके अंदर हमारा lungs है, उसका volume is increased. उसका वॉल्यूम जैसे ही इंक्रीज होता है, लंग्स, द वॉल्यूम ऑफ द थोरैसिक कैविटी एंड द लंग्स इज इंक्रीज, और जो लंग्स के अंदर जो एयर प्रेशर होता है, इट सॉर्ट ऑफ डिक्रीजेस. तो जो आसपास जो हमारे एटमॉस्फेयर में जो एयर होता है, दैट हैज़ द हायर प्रेशर, तो फटाफट से इट स्टार्ट्स रशिंग इनटू द लंग्स. हमारे नॉस्ट्रल्स के थ्रू हमारे लंग्स में स्टार्ट्स रशिंग इनटू द लंग्स, एंड द lungs, they get filled with the fresh air. So let me just write it down over here. When during the inhalation, the ribs are raised upwards and outwards, diaphragm is flattened, so the volume of the thoracic cavity, and the lungs, it is increased, और एयर का जो प्रेशर होता है इनसाइड द लंग इज डिक्रीज्ड. सो बाहर जो एटमॉस्फेयर में एयर होता है, it has higher pressure, so it starts running inside into the lungs, and our lungs, they get filled with the fresh air. So let's just write it down. These pens are very dark, I think. All right, no problem. So let's just continue. As I told you, during inhalation, it is in the continuation. This, all right. So during inhalation, I hope, all right. So during inhalation, volume of the thoracic cavity and the lungs is increased, and air pressure is decreased, inside the lungs. I forgot to underline this word. So then what happens is, जैसे मैंने अभी बताया, the air from the atmosphere, it has the higher pressure, it rushes inside the lungs, हमारे nostrils के through, and हमारा lungs में क्या हो जाता है, fresh air fill हो जाता है, right? So air from the external environment with high pressure rushes inside the lungs and in this way our lungs are filled up with the fresh air. So this happens during the inhalation, and just opposite of it, as I told you, happens in during the exhalation. तो exhalation में क्या होता है? The volume of the thoracic cavity and the lungs is obviously opposite है, तो it will decrease. Air pressure inside the lung will increase. तो air जो होगा lungs से is pushed out through the nostrils. ठीक है, just opposite. So let me just write it down here. During inhalation, volume of the thoracic cavity and lungs is decreased. Also, the air pressure is opposite है, तो it will increase inside the lungs. Then what will happen? आपका जो air होगा lungs से it is pushed out through the nostrils. Is pushed out through the nostrils. Alright, so this is what happens during inhalation. As we inhale, the ribs are raised upwards and outwards. जो आपका rib muscles होता है, due to their contraction, diaphragm it flattens. जो हमारा जिसके अंदर हमारा lungs have been enclosed, that thoracic cavity, उसका और lungs का आपका volume it increases, and जो air pressure होता है lungs के inside, that is decreased. तो क्या होता है, फटाफट से जो air from the external environment or the atmosphere start rushing inside the lungs and they are filled with the fresh air. What happens during the exhalation? The ribs are moved downwards and inwards due to the expansion of the rib muscles, and diaphragm it returns to its original position due to its original position, and thoracic cavity and lungs के अंदर जो आपका lungs के अंदर जो आपका air होता है उसका pressure is increased. That is why air from the lungs it is pushed out from the lungs through the nostrils. So this all happens during the breathing process. One more thing which is important point I want you people to notice, that I'll write it down. We inhale 21% of oxygen from the atmosphere and 0.03% of CO2, and the opposite during exhalation. We exhale 16.4% of O2 and 4.4% of CO2. Alright, there's one more point which is a very small point, one more topic, a very small one. I'll just tell you, that is the breathing rate. at times it is asked in the examination, although it's not so important, but it is you must know for your general science. So we know that inhalation and exhalation is termed as inhalation and exhalation of the gases is termed as the breathing rate क्या होता है, वन ब्रीद एक्चुअल क्या होता है जब आपका एक बार इन्हेलेशन एंड एक्सेलेशन हो जाता है, दैट इज टर्म्ड एज वन ब्रीथ. एक बार सांस लेना यानी कि लेना और छोड़ना, ठीक है. तो वन ब्रीथ काउंट्स वन इन्हेलेशन एंड वन एक्सेलेशन. तो नंबर ऑफ टाइम्स अ पर्सन ब्रीथ्स इन अ मिनट इज टर्म्ड एज ब्रीदिंग रेट, ठीक है. तो ब्रीद में क्या काउंट होता है, वन इनहेलेशन, ब्रीद काउंट्स वन इनहेलेशन एंड वन एक्सेलेशन मेक्स one breath. So the number of times a person breathes in a minute is termed as the breathing rate. Let me write it down for you. So number of times a person breathes in a minute is termed as breathing rate. One more thing which is to be noted, important point sort of thing. So normally we breathe, let me write it down, 16 to 18 times per minute, and during the vigorous exercises or fast running or heavy exercises, this rate is normally increased up to 25 times per minute during the heavy exercises. Alright, so that is it for this video. In the next video, hopefully we'll complete the chapter, or hopefully we'll cover most of the topics till respiration in the other animals who breathe through skin and trachea. So that is it for this video. Till then, take care.